Hello and welcome to this special edition of Humber News. I'm Nick Bear.
And I'm Chelsea Alfonso. Today on the program, we take a look at the best stories from our second year television class this semester. Nick has our top story.
Thanks, Chelsea. One of the city's largest charities fighting hunger announced the beginning of their spring food drive. Many people of all ages came out to help the cause. Brittany Billette was at the Daily Bread Food Bank and has more on the story.
Instead of playing with friends on a day during March break, these kids are helping the Daily Bread Food Bank kick off their annual spring drive. Boys and girls of all ages came to sort out hundreds of food donations. JB from St. Mary Catholic School in Nobleton has volunteered twice before.
It's okay. Like, some of it's easy, some of it's heavy.
But the work is worth the outcome.
It will help them give food for the people who can't afford it or don't have it.
Just around the corner in the kitchen, Executive Director Gail Nagberg launched the 3-week initiative with kitchen manager Todd Lambswood.
We serve about 58,000 hampers a year in food banks, and so we need to stock the shelves and make sure that we have the money so that the trucks can go out across the city.
The need for donations falls short this time of year in comparison to the 2 other holiday season drives.
So we really have to push at the spring drive, but the spring drive is one of the most important ones to make sure that the shelves are really truly full by the end of April.
Gail and Todd also demonstrated how the Daily Bread saves food that may go to waste by creating meals using perishable ingredients like fresh fruits and vegetables.
We're making healthy, nutritious meals that go out to the over 80 meal programs in Toronto, in shelters and homeless shelters and different meal programs.
Community members are asked to donate non-perishable foods. Some of the most needed items are pasta, canned beans and soup, baby food, and formula. Financial donations can be made online or by mail. The charity hopes to raise over $200,000 and 150,000 pounds of food. Last year, 11% of Torontonians used a food bank. The spring drive began March 18th and will run all the way until April 10th. From 191 New Toronto Street, I'm Brittany Billette, Humber News.
It's been a roller coaster ride for drivers who've been watching gas prices rise and fall for months now. Consumers saw the biggest price drop during the winter months when gas fell below $1 a liter. Giancarlo DePecco fills us in.
A sound that was once frightening for consumers was, for a short period of time, rather comforting. That's because gas prices in Toronto reached astonishing lows, dropping below $1 per litre, which, according to senior petroleum analyst Dan McTeague, is just fine for drivers in those cold winter months.
From the end of September right up until about the last week of March, beginning of April, demand for gasoline and other fuels drops.
Gas storage and fuel demands are part of the reasons for the fluctuation in gas prices, but consumers who are unaware of this make their own assumptions for the changes.
My response is, I'm not sure why it's happening, but I think it's an entire manipulation of the gasoline industry.
Gas prices not only impact consumers' wallets, but they also impact their warmer weather plans.
It affects me quite a bit, especially on the weekends. If I'm deciding to go out or not, I'll think about if it's really worth it for me to drive because of the gas prices.
Don't cancel your summer plans just yet. McTeague says drivers can rest easy as we get nearer to the summer months.
The price that we're going to see this summer will probably reflect 10 to 20 cents less than what we were paying this time last year. I think oil has a little further to go down.
Throughout the winter, we have seen gas prices rise and fall, but senior petroleum analyst Dan McTeague says students can use websites such as Gas Buddy and tomorrow's gas price today to help maximize savings this spring and determine the cheapest gas in their area. Giancarlo DePecco, Humber News.
For those of you dreaming to buy a new house in Toronto, you'll have to dig a little deeper into your pockets. The Toronto Real Estate Board released statistics from February that show the average price of a detached house is now $1 million. Despite the cold weather, the report says there was an increase in home purchases with more than 6,000 homes being sold. Danforth Village and Leaside are hot neighborhoods according to real estate agents, and local shopping, transit, green space, and walkability top the list of wants from aspiring home buyers.
It looks like York Region commuters will be waiting a little longer for a subway system to arrive in the area. As Nick Westall reports, the over-budget project is now going to need more money.
The TTC is closing the door on any hope that a new subway extension will open next year. CEO Andy Byford held a briefing for the media Friday afternoon to announce that the transit organization will need more time and money to complete the $2.6 billion Toronto-York Spadina subway extension from Downsview to York Region.
We believe that in addition to opening the Spadina extension by the end of 2017, we believe that that can be done for an additional $150 million worth of funding.
At a minimum, the City of Toronto will have to pay $90 million and York Region residents will have to pay $60 million. Also, there are several construction claims to be assessed by the TTC, which could deal with everything from lost time to equipment costs, and that could mean even more money. Byford says the subway tunnels are completed, but stations are still under construction and various systems need to be installed throughout the extension area. Although many of the decisions surrounding the subway extension were made years before Byford joined the TTC, he has faced increasing pressure from politicians and the media in recent weeks.
The key for me is, can I sleep at night knowing that I've made a public statement that all things being equal, we can deliver this by 2017. I believe that we can. If we can't, to your question, I expect to be held accountable.
Transit advocate Steve Monroe was at the announcement, and he says Byford no doubt faces challenges.
I think Andy's very brave to stand up and say, yes, it will be open end of 2017. If that's going to happen, there has to be certainly a lot of detailed public reporting.
With 35% of working York residents traveling to Toronto, the subway extension to Vaughan can't come quick enough for that area. York Region Chief Administrative Officer Bruce McGregor has been that government's representative for this project, and he has mixed feelings about the announcement.
So our overall reaction is, of course, one of disappointment that the project is verging over budget and late in delivery.
McGregor says he agrees with Byford's plan and says Byford has the credibility to deliver.
According to TTC CEO Andy Byford, he said there are two major lessons to learn from the Toronto-York Spadina subway extension project. The first being to have less contractors involved in the project, and second, to make sure all the agreements and funding are in place before announcing a start date. Nick Westall, Humber News, Toronto.
Diversity and emergency response times in high-rise buildings were just a few of the items in a packed Toronto Fire Services meeting. As Dominic Loscavo reports, citizens and members of the fire service came together and brought forward these issues to City Council.
The first master fire plan since 2007 was presented on Monday's committee meeting, where city councillors had a chance to hear from citizens and members of Toronto Fire Services. Issues like fire safety and diversification were on the agenda, but for political activist Miguel Avila, false alarms in his building have been a major concern.
And they create an issue because they come to the building and they find there's nothing to be there. There's no reason to be there. So we have to educate our tenants.
Toronto's fast growth and large population has made response times and issues in vertical housing skyrocket in the last few years. Fire Chief Jim Sales says the master plan aims to tackle issues in high-rising buildings and promote diversity within Toronto Fire.
We've got to look at a new way to mitigate incidents in high-rise buildings. Also, we're a very diverse city, so we need to look at a new way to grow the diversity within the fire service.
City councillors had a lot to say about the proposals that were made, but it was the lack of financial information that had them skeptical. One major issue was the proposed budget increases that were not outlined with numbers or figures. Questions surrounding Toronto Fire's plan of action went unanswered, and President of Toronto Professional Fires Association, Frank Ramignano, says that they should have been prepared with some answers.
I think, cost has to be included definitely, but also you need to give the councillors the information so that they can make the difficult decisions. And I think a few of the councillors said that today, that there wasn't any real recommendations, there weren't any timelines.
Understaffing and the education of Toronto's firefighters were among other issues that were discussed at City Hall on Monday.
Fire Services Master Plan aims to improve fire safety through better education and promotes diversity within Toronto Fire. Dominic Loscavo, Humber News.
In the world of professional sports, injury can be a career ender, but Logan Cotton McGuinness turned a potential tragedy into an inspiring comeback story. Chelsea caught up to the undefeated boxer, and his ambitions are high.
Logan Cotton McGuinness is back from a year-long injury that has been what the fighter calls a blessing in disguise. The undefeated professional boxer has set his sights on a world championship and is doing everything in his power to make his dream a reality.
I'm developed now and I'm ready for it, right? I could have probably went for one a couple of years back, but I don't think physically I was ready for it, right?
The 27-year-old fighter has already accomplished more than most would hope for in the highly physical sport. His secret? Following his passion and sculpting his lifestyle to become the champion his coach Ryan Grant knows he can be.
Gonna look the way he needs to look, and that's to look like a champ, you know, and that's what Logan, he's one of the gym's top guys that is gonna become a world champion.
Logan remains in the upper echelons of his career by not only following his passion, but also by remaining consistent in his hard work. Fellow professional fighter Abdullah Tamori says the way Logan spends his time outside of the ring is what separates him from other boxers.
And it's really nice to watch a professional like him work, because then I understand what I have to do in order to get to the level where Logan's at.
The 5'8" featherweight fighter is at his best and looking forward to the indescribable feeling of being back in the ring.
And I'm back now, fresher than ever, hungrier than ever, and ready to go for my goals, right?
His first fight post-injury is happening at the Hershey Center on March 28th. Dedication, discipline, and a hunger to win are a few of the things that have brought Logan Cotton McGinnis to the level he is at. After injury and unfortunate circumstances, the undefeated fighter is back in the gym, and with the work ethic and desire driving him, a world championship title is not far in the future. Chelsea Alfonso, Humber News.
More boxing now, as a Toronto club is the first gym in North America exclusive to women and people who identify as transgender. As a non-competitive gym, it encourages those with no experience to join. Boxing isn't just a sport for men. These ladies show their strength while training at the Toronto Newsgirls Boxing Club. First, they start with warm-ups, either individually or during exercises. The woman in charge is Savoy Howe, a coach and business owner with 23 years of experience under her belt.
We run a program called Shape Your Life, which is a free boxing program for female and transgendered survivors of violence. That program is in its 7th year. We've graduated over 700 participants.
For young women, it's about getting exercise and learning how to protect themselves. Their safety is important, which is why all members must wait before entering the ring.
There's an underground sporting culture that is gaining popularity in the city. It's like darts, but it's not the version your grandfather played. Aaron D'Andrea was at one of the facilities and has more on the story.
Bullseye. That's a common sight to see at Battle, which stands for Backyard Axe Throwing League. More and more people have been coming from across Toronto to throw the tool that's used to chop wood. Matt Wilson is a local pioneer in this sport. He is the founder and CEO of the Backyard Axe Throwing League and says it is a great way to relax.
Throwing an axe is super cathartic. It's almost meditative. It's very zen-like activity, and the competition is pretty great.
Wilson says the league started in 2006 when he and his friends started throwing axes in his backyard. And since then, the Backyard Axe Throwing League has become home to a popular pastime in the city. Each player throws 5 axes around, and there are 3 rounds in a match. When you hit a bullseye, you score 5 points. You get 3 points for hitting the red ring, and 1 point if you hit blue. The player with the most points in 2 rounds wins. League member Katie James says she found out about the league through her friends, and was hooked after throwing for her first time. James says there is a lot more to the sport than just throwing an axe.
It's really fun. I mean, you have to sort of think about everything that you're doing, but nothing at the same time.
For some, axe throwing isn't as easy as it looks. But floor manager Jennifer Benedict says her favorite part of her job is helping inexperienced female throwers to get better.
Teaching girls who are kind of scared to throw axes, I get a really good pleasure out of watching them and like teaching them and getting them to stick it and not be scared anymore. And watching them kick guys' asses.
Benedict says that the Backyard Axe Throwing League didn't have many female throwers at first, but now about half of their members are female. Battle is an option for those looking for a new sport to try. It is a unique atmosphere at the facilities every Sunday through Wednesday. Members chant, drink beer, and show off their best throwing arm. The veteran Wilson offers this advice to players who are looking to try out the sport.
For basics, to start, you want to always lean in and follow through. Don't try and spin or flip the axe. Don't manipulate the axe. Just let it go right in front and follow through.
The Backyard Axe Throwing League has 2 leagues in Toronto, one in Pickering and another in North York. More information can be found on their website. Aaron D'Andrea, Humber News, Toronto.
We're going to take a short break now, but stay tuned because when we come back, we'll take a tour of the shop.